When I visit my parents, we usually have enough conversation that lasts around an hour, so we end up watching movies. During my last visit, we ended up watching The Big Chill, this movie from the 80s that stars Glenn Close and Kevin Kline, Dr. Ian Malcolm before he was a doctor. There's a scene in the movie where a character is watching television, which is pretty standard. You see this in a lot of movies, and he is watching, like you would expect, a black and white B horror movie. I don't know why this time in particular I was like, oh my goodness, they do this in so many films. It's either an old gangster film or a sci-fi movie or something that was at least pre-1950s. Of course, there is a reason why they're doing this. They're in the public domain. They don't have to pay money to use those films. Don't get me wrong, I love the fact that movie characters have a deep appreciation for Ray Harryhausen, but the fact of the matter is, it really pulls me out of the scene a whole lot because this never happens. It's also possible that it seems like such a foreign idea nowadays to be actually flipping through channels. I'm sure it actually does happen, but I can't remember the last time I actually did that, which I think is a little bit sad. I realize that to modern audiences, 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s films are just a teensy, bitsy cheesy. I mean, they're a lot cheesy. They're so cheesy, but there's still a charm to them. The early days of filmmaking where they didn't have all the resources or even the money like they do nowadays. They were learning the craft. They were doing stuff that someone with a DSLR camera can just go out and do now. But they were creating, they were figuring this out. They were inventing a cinematic language. I'll save my argument for the greatness of black and white cinema for another video, but this is the era where people were kind of figuring out what film could be. They were taking it from this kind of hackneyed sideshow attraction to something that we now value as some of the highest forms of art. And there's some great stuff in there. Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, the Marx Brothers films, Metropolis. There's so much great stuff when you go back to that time period or those time periods that I hate to think that nowadays, because you don't have that switch, that remote in your hand flicking through channels and you're like, I'm going to stop on this. I'm going to discover this. Like I did as a kid and found all this great stuff and made me love films as an art form. That doesn't really happen anymore. You have to have something that you can share, that you can link to, that you can put on Tumblr, that you can make a GIF out of. And some of those films just aren't going to be discovered unless someone physically grabs someone by the head and shows it to them. And I've only enjoyed one movie by someone doing that to me. I'll never really understand why it was Pootie Tang that the person wanted me to watch, but there you go. So am I overblowing things, or is our cultural past something that we are remembering in this kind of hyper-kinetic present? Don't be afraid of big words, kids. Leave your comments down in the comment section below. My name is Kyle. I'll be back with another vlog next Thursday. A talk show host. Ugh, you'd be terrible at that. Thank you. It's just something that I would just love to do. What does this have to do about YouTube? Absolutely nothing. I am just blithering like an idiot. So welcome